Hey everybody, this is Ramon Ray, founder of SmartHustle.com. Thanks for joining me for the exciting, well, that's my humble opinion, which could be wrong, but I think it's going to be right, Smart Hustle Podcast, where you can find information like this, insight like this to help you grow your business at SmartHustle.com. Our mission, our desire is to inspire and educate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses so they can provide for their families, support their communities, and in the end, live the lives they want. Today we have Billy Price, who's the founder of Billy. It may be Billy Shoes, but we'll let Billy correct me and all that in a minute, Billy. And we're going to talk today really about building a brand, building a company. It happens to make shoes, but my words, not Billy's, special shoes, I'll say, which help people, which can make them accessible, my words again, to all. But Billy Price, welcome to the Smart Hustle Podcast, and thanks for taking the time to share with us today about your journey. How are you, man?
I'm doing so good, Ramon. This is a real pleasure. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. I am as well. So, Billy, do not correct me on the name and all that I should know, but I'm one of those people, like some people, they read the show notes or they read the background and they're like perfect memory. Me, it just goes out when I start. Name of the company and your full name and website. Give us that and feel free to tell us today what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. So I'm Billy Price, co-founder of the brand Billy Footwear, and we're a shoe company based out of Seattle, Washington. Our shoes are a little unique in terms of other shoes. What we do is we incorporate a zipper into the design. Having a zipper in a shoe isn't necessarily unique, but the way we do it, it is. Basically, we take a zipper, which goes on the outside of the shoe and around the toe, which allows the whole upper of the shoe to fold over. So essentially, you're dropping your foot in unobstructed. It's no longer having to shove your foot into a shoe. And it's got a bit of a story behind it. So I'd love to share.
It does indeed. That is Billy Footwear. The name of that and the website, Billy, that people should go to check it out is?
BillyFootwear.com.
See, I was going to say that, but I figured it could be something like one of those cool things, BillyFootwear.com. So, Billy, thanks for joining us, and I'm excited to learn. Why don't we start out with the story? I know these are shoes, as you said, that have a zipper on it. So I like how you said it. You don't have to shove your foot in there. Even for myself, sometimes I wonder, that shoe's kind of hard to get into. Help us understand how we got here, as it were, today, Billy. Help us understand that story.
Great. Well, the inspiration behind the design came from actually my own story, which is I'm a wheelchair user. That wasn't always the case. Unfortunately, when I was a teenager, I was a freshman in college, I fell out of a 3-story window. And when that happened, my life changed in a hurry. I went from a very, very active person, someone that played lots of sports, someone that played in the outdoors, someone that had a lot of hand dexterity, just loved to understand how things work, put things together. All of a sudden, I became paralyzed from the chest down. So immediately, there were a lot of things I used to be able to do that I could then no longer do. And putting on shoes was one of those things. So after years and years and years of having people put my shoes on for me, I teamed with a buddy and we decided to do something about it. Because really in the marketplace, what we found was there are a lot of shoes out there, but it was either going to be a shoe that I could put on independently and it looked terrible, or a shoe that looked fantastic that I could not put on independently. So what we want to do is we want to take fashion, function, smash the two together, and then create a product that anyone can enjoy.
I love it because I must say the shoes that I know, and I have an orthopedic shoe, they call it, right down the block from me. I don't even think my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, who happened to be dead, I don't think that she'd even want to wear that shoe. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, Billy, right? They're usually all white. They're like 4 feet long and 4 feet wide. It's just a mess, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we were just so baffled and confused why we couldn't take fashion and function, put it together, and make something that works for everybody. So that was our mission.
Absolutely. I would probably want to save this for last, like a movie, but I would love to touch in a little bit about how you feel about gratitude, what possibly, I'm just guessing as a human, mental struggles and anguish that you may have felt first year or two. Do you mind sharing a bit about that? Because, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, many of them on the outside, look whole on the outside. But, we all have issues in here. So, but could you help us understand maybe just that journey, like day 1, day 50, overcoming to be here today and talking? I'm guessing it wasn't an easy journey where you just got up and, I'm paralyzed. Talk to us about that, if you don't mind, a little bit, please, to encourage those of us who are, forgive the wording if it's wrong, able-bodied, and those who may be like yourself. Help us understand that, please.
Well, I absolutely love that word gratitude. That's a word that I don't get to hear very often, and I'm so glad you called that out, because there's so many chapters of this journey that I can call out specific gratitude. Starting from the day 1 of being a wheelchair user, I mean, my mind, I went to such a dark place. I had no idea what the future's gonna look like. My mind was I was feeding myself toxic language, like it's not worth living if you can't walk.
Sure.
Why me? Like the unanswerable question. I mean, like I had this mission, I had this idea of where my life was going at 18 years old. And then all of a sudden it got completely derailed. So there was really a lot of people around me that really supported me, families, friends, doctors, nurses. And truth be told, they really believed in me before I believed in myself. And what happened was, being in such a dark place, they allowed me to, with their positive reinforcement, what it did was it gave me the ability to choose to change. It wasn't a matter like they fixed me, but what they did was they created an association around me in a positive environment that I could make that change. Think about how, one, I was still alive, and two, I still had value to add. So it's not like it became like instantly just easy. It was still an incredible grind, but at least allowed me to forget, or like I should say, not be burdened by what I lost, and instead embrace what I still had. And then really slowly, inch by inch, I learned how to, have a wheelchair replace my legs, how to put my pants back on, how to brush my teeth, how to write my name, get out of the hospital. I was in the hospital for 5.5 months. And then after that, went back to school, went back to, I was a freshman in college. I was only in school for about 2 weeks. So I figured I'd continue with college and, ended up getting a mechanical engineering degree. So it was just, that doesn't happen overnight.
Sure.
But what it does is you just slowly, inch by inch, keep moving forward. And there were so many people around me that just encouraged me. And I just have an absolute attitude of gratitude, because there's so many people I can thank.
Yeah, I love it. And two things I want to underline for those, again, which is the whole podcast on gratitude, but I'm going to preview. I had started my 5th company, Billy, about 2 weeks ago, and it's going to be not all about, but it's really totally different than the small business space, gratitude and things like this. So I'm going to hit you back up on that. It's totally different than this particular talk. But two things I want to underline to everyone listening is that Billy had people around him, whether it happened to, or they came because he was in a different point of need, but having people around you to uplift you. But it seems to be like that wasn't enough. You also had to make the choice, because I'm sure even people listening have people around us, preachers, pastors, mothers, fathers, doc, whatever it is, encouraging, but they didn't make the choice. So two things that I heard: Billy made the choice. So that's something we all have to do. And having people around you does help. Is that two things? Am I iterating that properly, Billy?
Well, you're spot on, but it also requires action. You have people around you, you have to make the choice, but you can choose to change, but it doesn't matter. You need to take action.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's hard. You can choose to do something, but it actually takes you to get out of bed, get off the couch, and really make something happen. And it's going to be rough. I'll tell you what, it's going to be rough. You're going to take 3 steps forward and you're going to take 2 steps back, but you're still moving forward. Just got to keep grinding.
And I'm guessing in your case, Billy, some of that is very literal. When I think of myself, I'm humbled. I'm talking to you. And when I think of get off the couch, I'm guessing my get off the couch either today or years ago was a lot different than the journey you've had. Just I'm going to get up. So kudos to you for sharing that. Let's dive a bit into the business, Billy Footwear. You're the co-founder of. I tend to think business is very much the same, Billy. Got to hire a great team. Got to do some marketing. Got to be focused on who the audience is. In your case, you're fulfilling something. Technology is great. Got to be able to sell. There's a few core 5 to 7 things that are the same. I'd love for you just to pick out of the hat, no metaphor intended, no pun intended rather, which 1 or 2 things that you most want to share. And I have a lot of questions, but I'd love for you just to say, Ramon, out of these things or as our journey, here's 1 or 2 things that really we've gone through that'll help the Smart Hustle audience. And then I can ask follow-ups. But if you don't mind, just take a minute or 2 and riff. Share with us what you've learned, maybe some challenges, and then what you did so we can learn from your experience and maybe avoid them. Anything that negative happened.
That's such a big question. I can think about when we first started, really, this was a side hustle. So it's myself and my fellow co-founder, Darren Donaldson. We've been friends all of our lives. We rode the bus together going to school.
Wow.
And we kind of lost contact with each other. But when we got back together, he invited me to a Christmas party at his house. And as we were catching up, spitballing ideas, coincidentally, he was working on a shoe project, which he was telling me about. And that's when I threw the idea at him of having this shoe idea with the zipper, and just commenting that I'd never been able to put my shoes on. And for us to be able to all of a sudden tackle that project, it wasn't a matter we could drop it. It wasn't, we didn't have the ability to drop everything and start building this business because we didn't really have an understanding of what it could become. So it was a side hustle. So what we did was we were still working our day jobs, 9 to 5, then we work on shoes in the evening. And that really set the foundation for the business. And by having it as a side hustle, this is something we learned early on. By having it as a side hustle, we weren't taking money out of the business. We were putting all of the resources that we possibly could into the business to give it the greatest likelihood to succeed.
Yep.
So that was one thing we learned early on. A second thing that we really learned early on was we needed to cast our net into the market as big as possible. So yes, the story of this brand is basically, it came from my own injury. And yes, I'm a wheelchair user. And yes, we made a shoe that worked for me. And yes, when I put my shoe on for the first time, I was 36. So literally half a lifetime later, I was taking back that independence. But the shoe isn't it's not constrained by someone that's like me. In other words, you don't need to have a disability to qualify yourself to wear our brand.
Right.
What we want to do is we want to take, as I said, fashion function, but really more of a universal design, like really in the spirit of inclusion, to be able to throw it out there for someone like myself that needs function, can use the shoe, but also has the characteristics that it could sit on the shelves of major department stores. So early on, just while we're setting up this business, we learned that we need to have a side hustle so we can put as much resources as possible into it. 2, throw the net out there as big as possible for the largest audience to give yourself the greatest probability of success. And 3, really build your network, build your audience, build relationships with customers to really get the word of the brand out there.
Wow, that is powerful. And I'm curious, when you say throw the widest net, let's dive into that a bit more. Some people would say, and if you didn't mean this, or if you disagree with it, it's fine. The aspect of niche. Now you're going niche to a degree, those who need the shoe, those who have whatever issue or don't have an issue. They just want a cool looking shoe, whatever it may be. But help us understand, just re-clarify that, because some are saying, no, your shoe should only be for purple people who have shaved heads, who are paralyzed in one leg. Having some fun here, but you get my point. So help me understand what you meant by that, throwing the wider net as opposed to niche, if that's what you meant.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So niche, okay. I mean the complete opposite of that.
Okay.
So yes, I mean, like if we were to advertise our shoe as, I am a C5-6 quadriplegic, I have limited hand dexterity, this is the shoe for you, that would be considered a very niche.
Right. That's what everybody says to do. Right.
Exactly. But there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to wear this shoe. There's a reason why we're on the shelves of Nordstrom. There's a reason why we're on the shelves of Zappos. There's a reason why we're in Target. There's a reason why we're in Von Maur, Scheels, and like mom and pop stores around the country and around the world. It's like, yes, it caters to an audience that may need the functionality, but the power in the brand is its ability to work for anybody. It really dissolves that line between adaptive and non-adaptive. It levels the playing field. When we first started this brand, the last thing we wanted to do, because we remember being on the playground in grade school growing up, if somebody was wearing something different, they were reminded they were wearing something different.
Yes.
So the last thing we wanted to do is bring something to market that made someone feel different. The interesting thing about our brand, kids that are wearing the shoes, I mean, just the kids, we have adult shoes as well, but just kids, for example, kids that are wearing the brand, because I guess they need to, because of the functionality. Kids that don't necessarily need to wear the brand because of the function, they love the shoe because of the convenience, and they love the shoe because of the trendiness of the zipper.
Hence they're different in a good way.
180-degree reverse.
Yeah, I love it. And do you have, is it fair to say, 2 marketings though? Do you market to the, and forgive me, I think the word disabled people don't like, what word should I use? Can I use that word, or what's a better word?
Disabled's great. That's fine.
Okay. But do you have the shoe at the Disabled Convention of America and Paraplegic Association and call it out like that? And the shoe at, quote unquote, forgive me for, not being PC here, but regular shoe stores, and it's a cool shoe. Am I hearing you right on that, or just clarify even that? I'm curious.
Well, so we definitely, I mean, so when we set up retail partners, there's definitely retail partners out there that are, their business strategy is marketed around, various audiences.
Got it.
So, I mean, we do have business partners that are focused more on the niche.
Sure.
We do have business partners that are focused on more of like everybody.
I love it.
What we found though is what's so awesome is like bringing our shoe into those markets. They're super excited because it's broadened their gaze. It's broadened their vision as well. Yeah. So now they're able to serve customers they may not have been able to serve before.
I love it.
So when we do our marketing, when we do our advertising, we don't necessarily segment out able-bodied and disabled.
Got it.
If you want to use those 2 words, we try to do is create a picture that has both audiences, or all three audiences
I
or
love
8
it.
different audiences. And then when you have all those audiences together, it's one audience.
Yes.
So that's really the spirit of inclusion that we strive for.
I love it. And it sounds to me like, these are my words, not yours, but others you don't mind. Categorize as you wish. If you're a shoe store for, whatever you want, use our shoes. But it seems like you all want to be the voice, like your Billy's. It doesn't say a little logo for the disabled or whatever. You're like, this is a darn good shoe. Does that sound fair to say? But the other people can categorize it whatever they want. But Billy's shoes or Billy's footwear, they're for all.
I mean, that's a great way to put it. I mean, our
Yeah.
brand is so rooted in trying to add value.
Right.
I mean, our mission statement is like, yes, we want to be successful.
I
We
love
really
it.
want to be more than that. We want to be a brand of significance. And we do that by doing our best to add value one step at a time.
I love
And
it.
that's adding value both to direct customer, but also to the business partners that we have relationships with. And to add value to their world, it's helping their customer. So if their customer is the total, like everybody, fantastic.
Love
If
it.
it's focused more on like the elderly, fantastic. If it's focused on someone that wears orthotic braces, fantastic. If it's someone like myself who's a wheelchair user, fantastic. We're all about inclusion, and we do our best to achieve it.
I love it. And definitely you guys are achieving that as well. So thank you for that. Let's talk a bit about marketing. We got connected through the Google AdWords. I was confused. I think it's AdWords team, which is a great, of course, Google has a great company helping small businesses do some amazing things. I've used AdWords many times as well. How has that helped you in your business? And for those who don't know, but correct me, Billy, if you want, you're typing on some mechanism, some keywords, and up pops those. It changes like every night, but the ads on the top or right, wherever it is now in there, that's the summary of it. So you can get targeted towards things you may need. If I'm wrong on that, correct me. But Billy, help us understand how it's helped you, and feel free to correct me if I didn't explain it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so using Google Ads, that's definitely part of our marketing strategy. We got turned on to Google Ads about 1.5 years ago,
Okay.
and it's been awesome. A lot of our marketing strategy when it comes to Google Ads is non-brand terms, because if someone and what that means is, like, for example, if we are using Billy footwear or Billy shoes or just our name in the advertisement, it's going to rise right to the very, very top on Google. But what we found is, like, just through organic, I mean, if someone's actively going out to look for Billy footwear and they type in Billy footwear into Google, we'll naturally rise to the top organically. But in addition, all of our retail partners are searching the same words too. So we don't want to steal from their, it's all about relationship. We don't want to steal from their business as well. Now, that said, we do a lot of advertising with non-brand terms. So it'd be like convenient shoe, easy shoe, zipper shoes, or something like I mentioned audiences that, wear orthotic braces. I mean, they've had a tremendous amount of success with our brand. So we might put in AFO, shoes for AFOs, shoes for SMOs. Those types of combinations of words have worked really, really well with Google Ads. It's interesting, by using Google Ads, when it comes to the return on investment, we've noticed that with Google Ads, it performs 2.5 times better than all of our other social channels. Because what happens is, like, through Facebook or through Instagram or Pinterest or whatever it may be, we found that it's a lot more window shopping. I mean, yes, they're learning about the brand, which is fantastic. But when it actually drills down to conversions, Google has been a far better performer than those others. So we really throw a lot of money their way.
No, I love that. And can you tell us anything that you've noticed that people are doing wrong, or that you all started like, Ramon, oh my God, we screwed up and whatever, or that you're doing right? I'm sure there's a lot. You can read fill a whole bookshelf full of books on Google and the whole search engine and all this, but anything, 2 or 3 things that come to mind, like, Ramon, here's the secret sauce. Here's 2 things that everybody should be doing.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a secret sauce, but
Okay.
I do think, reflecting on our story, that worked really well for us. We really had to build the brand up organically before we started using paid advertisement. I mean, we hit the shelves of Nordstrom and Zappos in August of 2017, and we didn't start doing paid advertisement till around like 2020. So it was really 3 years of just organic growth through social channels, getting the word out there, building direct relationships with the customer, having them through their word of mouth channels really, like, get more understanding about the brand, getting more of a foundation with both our e-commerce, but also with our retail partners. So there was already a bit of a buzz about the brand when we started using the paid advertising, because we found that we could stretch our dollars so much farther with paid advertisement when there was already a pretty good foundation to build off of.
I love that. And what I'm hearing, just a tip, to further this tip for the small business when I was listening, is that you can use whatever advertising medium you want, meaning Google or whatever it may be, and it probably will work. It'll drive a click. The details you need to work out, funneling and targeting and all that, retargeting, all that. But what I'm hearing I like is that do the work, whatever that may mean for you, to be known. Don't just, we're new, we're here, we're going to just fork out 10,000 a month, but do some work in whatever that may mean: organic, SEO, content, blog, social, post, talk, show the videos, and add the paid on top of that, and it could work better if I'm hearing you correctly.
Oh yeah, you heard me perfectly. I mean that you're absolutely correct. I mean, there's no shortcut for hard work. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and when you work hard, I mean, people notice, and it's like, because what happens is we're all about building a relationship. If you want to have a successful business, you need to, one, understand your customer, but two, build a relationship with that customer. And the customer recognizes when you take the extra effort to add value, when you try to wow them. That's all about Zappos. Zappos is all about wow, the wow factor. And when you do the customer right, they'll be a repeat customer. And we love that. We love that. I mean, like making a sale, that's one thing, but to have that customer come back and do a repeat sale, that's really a testimony that you're doing something right. So there it is.
It's like me and my almost 28-year marriage, man. Every day I wake up, I gotta do well. Every day's a vote for Ramon from his wife. Curious as well, you've mentioned the word relationship, Billy, a lot of times. Again, we're talking to Billy Price, everybody. Billy Footwear. You've heard the story by now already, but I definitely check you visit their website just to steal their ideas, to learn from them, read more about their story, or buy their shoes. But thank you, Billy, for being here. Last question I have, but feel free to anything I didn't ask that you wanted to mention. I'll give time for that. But you mentioned relationship a lot. Another big word, but I always love to give my guests time to answer it as they wish. Why is that so important? Or what is it? How are you doing it? Can you give us a little riff, or from Billy's point of view, relationships? You've mentioned it more than once. Obviously, it's very important to you. Why is that? And tell us about that.
Yeah, and that word relationship, I mean, it spans a lot of different angles, not necessarily angles, but just a lot of different examples.
Yeah.
And one thing that I find is, everybody's got a story. I mean, you have a story, I have a story. Everyone that's listening has somewhat of a story.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome to be able to be a brand that can listen to the customer's story, where they can reach out and, for example, I mean, we'll send a pair of shoes out. And it'll be like a grandma buying their shoes for their kids. Let's say in this example, the kid is wearing orthotic braces. All of a sudden, that child is now able to put their shoes on by themselves.
Yeah.
But the family is able to, watch this happen. And all of a sudden, they're able to gain that independence. But plus, it makes the whole family's day easier because they can get out the door faster. And the family, when we give them an opportunity to review the product, they share all that information. And it all of a sudden, you can sometimes feel the tears between the lines, and it becomes more than a shoe. And that customer all of a sudden becomes a lifelong customer. So it's crazy how, as a brand, we've created a widget, essentially, which is really the conduit for us as a business, and then they as a customer, to build more than just a business relationship, but just have, thank you for sharing your story. Can we share this with others? Because I know others will receive value from your story, receive power. Yeah. Another situation could be collaborating with nonprofits. There's so many nonprofits out there that, yes, they have an audience, and a lot of those audiences are using our shoes anyways, but to be able to collaborate with those nonprofits and say, hey, maybe we can offer your nonprofit shoes at discount, and then with each conversion, we can do a donation back to your nonprofit. And it's a matter of building that relationship with that community, giving them a platform to be able to have them share their story, get their word out, get the importance of their mission to try to raise money for whatever, maybe rare disease that they have.
Yeah.
That's the type of stuff that just severely, and just, it warms my heart totally through and through, because, life is tough. It really is.
Yeah.
And, anything that we can do to try to work together as a community, work together as something more than just ourselves, the mission, whatever we're trying to achieve, it becomes more than ourselves. So that's what we try to set the platform for. It's a big mission, but it really is fun to do together.
Well, based on the little I'm getting to know you, I think you are the man, and your partner and everybody in your team, I think, to get that done. Billy, can you help us understand how is Billy, my question, is structured? Your team, do you outsource a lot of things? Do you have a team of 5,000 people in a big warehouse? Is it you there with a glue gun, putting shoes together? Tell us a little bit, if you can, about the company itself.
So I love that you say 5,000 people with a bunch of people putting together, because it's crazy. There's so many customer service questions that come in. And it really feels like audiences out there think we're a staff of 5,000. Our staff here is doubled in the last year. And at the moment right now, we're a staff of 20.
Okay.
So we are a very small team, but we are very much on the grow.
Yeah.
And our retail partner list, those retail partners, that list continues to grow too. So day to day, so I'm the CEO of the company, more like the face, but on the fulfillment line, we have 5 people, customer service, we have 2 people, sales team, we have 3 people. And there's a couple other people in between, like more on the accounting side, like keeping stuff together, like on the marketing side. Yep. So we're very much on the grow, but maybe we'll get to that 5,000 eventually, but
if you want to.
If we want to.
Yeah.
That's a question we inevitably get. Like, what does the future look like? Like, what does Billy Footwear look like? And yes, we want to grow. And I say that not through the lens of we want to be a big company.
I understand.
I say that through the lens of as we grow, we can add more value. So we're in the add value business. So the bigger we get, the more value we can make and the more relationships we can have.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely. And I think, as you know, of course, working with partners is one way to do it, as you're doing already, but you could be a small team and like, okay, this partner outsource all marketing. There's many ways to do it. You already know it, but that's something I struggle with as a business owner myself. Like, what things do we do inside, which is headcount, but that's good, or there's a company of 5,000 people. I can just send them a check. It's going to be a little more, but they can just do it all. And I can sit in a boat, and I don't fish, but if I did fish or whatever it is. So, but Billy Price, go ahead, please.
I don't know if I really answered your question though. When it comes to outsourcing is really when it comes to the manufacturing, I work with the sourcing partner that's connected to the factories.
Absolutely.
And all of our manufacturing at the moment is over in China. We're looking at other countries as well. So that's all outsourced. When it comes to the marketing side, that's all internal. When it comes to customer service, that's all internal. But that's more on the B2C side. That's on our BillyFootwear.com. When it comes to the relationships, or when it comes to like Zappos or Nordstrom or Target or whatever it may be, I mean, they're handling their element of it. We'll send the product to them through our logistics center, or even through our own warehouse here, or even direct from factory. But I guess that stuff is outsourced.
Oh, no, I knew that. Yeah.
but the B2C, the BillyFootwear.com, that's all in-house.
No, I understand. Here's what it'll be. You will be 5,000 people when you start to spread love to everybody all over the world. That will be, you have Billy ambassadors, like not even with the shoe gum, the little red buttons or something. Hey, we're here from Billy Footwear. We wanted to bring you. There's the head count.
Ooh, love it. I absolutely love that.
Love it. Hey, everybody, again, this is Ramon Ray. We've been talking to Billy Price, co-founder of Billy Footwear. You can find interviews like this at smarthustle.com, where we inspire and educate small business owners to start and grow successful businesses so they can live the lives they want by providing for their families and supporting their communities. If you like this podcast, give it a 5-star review. If you hated this podcast, that's okay. Still give it a 5-star review, and check out Billy Footwear for you or somebody in your life as well. But Billy Price, thanks for spending time with us today. And again, I'm Ramon Ray with smarthustle.com.